This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. All right, and now we get into part two of today's set of trades. The first part, if you haven't already watched that video, is when I jumped in way too early and got blown up for two full losses and a $680 deficit. This is part two, where I claw back to even and poke my head above the line of profitability, but just barely. Anyway, this is really all about waiting until the market was ready to rebound. And I got back in once I had seen all the indexes at the same time having built a base and start to exhibit some strength sort of together, except for YM, which just stayed weak the entire day. There was no point at which it seemed like it was going up. But for the rest of these, let's go ahead and play this, and we can watch this. I've put the buy orders in where I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to get in with a small order on these guys. Now, oh, I just realized. Yeah, no, that's right. I got in with a 1 contract on the NQ, 4 on the ES, and was it 6? It was the full 6 on the Russell on the 2K. And it just seemed like we were at the point where all of them, all at once, were suddenly starting to exhibit some strength, and that was the big takeaway. Previously, you had one here and none of the others, then one there and none of the others, and this actually seemed like it had finally baked enough that it was ready for consumption. So I got in on this, and you can see once the Nasdaq had moved 50 points in the right direction, it pulled the stop to break even and then trailed it. It trails 70 points behind the high. I adjusted that from 50 because I was getting stopped out too regularly. As it turns out, 70 is a bit too tight as well, but such is life. What we'll see here as this goes up is we'll see that it does reach 29,553, but just before it does, I decided to get a bit greedy and move this up another 100 points to try and get it. And that's when it got up. It poked its head 2 points above this level where it would have triggered, and then it retraced 70 and stopped me out. So I lost out on $130. Instead of trying to get more than the 400 it would have given me, I ended up with 270 and nothing else. So live and learn. I'll leave that there just to prove that it did actually make it. But I mean, it got almost there before a little bit of a retrace, but then it rebounds a bit. Unfortunately, you know, because I'd moved it, it didn't work well. Meanwhile, we see down here the ES. It triggered its first target, and once it did, okay, now that was the target fill on the NQ that I ended up with less than the full amount. On the ES, I started moving this to the bottom of the trailing 15-minute candles, the second one, just to make sure that I don't give up back too much. And that actually worked in my favor today. I'll see if I can follow it correctly. And then somewhere along the way here, I moved this to even because I had 3 trades on at the same time and I didn't want to get too stupidly greedy. So what I was doing here was following the 15-minute. And I think I actually came up here and followed that one, roughly speaking. There's a point at which everything starts to, I think I came up here, everything starts to sort of melt back, kind of fade. And I'm not exactly sure what level I was at when I got out of this. Let me go ahead and just select some of these just to try to lock this in. I'll give you the bottom line though. It does eventually fade and take me out. Oh, it looks like it did that already on the Russell. That's fine. It does that very shortly here on the ES. Long story short, all of these trades together, I ended up with 270 on the NQ, 360 on the MES, and $96 on the micro Russell. So in aggregate, it was $726, which just slightly more than made up for the $680 loss that I was busy trying to dig myself out of. So long story short, there was a whole lot of trades and activity today for a net $46. And if I could do it all over again, I would hold off on getting into those first trades because they just really weren't good setups. They were not sufficient setups after a heavy decline. So that's the takeaway for today.